Hey Krafty Friends, it's Jen from Katahdin Krafts and welcome back to the Not Too Shabby YouTube channel today. I have made another mosaic background card featuring Easter wishes from the Not Too Shabby shop. I think that this stamp set is so super cute. I love the little bunny and all the Easter eggs, and I have fallen in love with making these mosaic backgrounds. So this is the stamp set that I used, Easter Wishes, and it has the bunny, the bee, the baskets, and all those cute little eggs. And then this is a slimline card that I made a couple weeks ago, and it started my love for these mosaic backgrounds. This Dots of Spring paper from the Not Too Shabby spring release it inspired me to do this because of all the different shades that are in this pack. You have your greens and then all the pinks and the purples and the blues and the yellows, and it just, dots of spring. So it really screams that spring color. So I wanted to make a background that looked like a sunrise with all of those colors in it. And then these are all the leftover pieces that I had from that slimline card. And I thought, well, I need to use some of these up because they're so super cute and I didn't want to waste. I have all these piles of half-made cards everywhere or leftovers from when I make a card. So I was going to put this into good use. And so what I wanted to try this time with my background is to do it more geometrical and not tear it. So I am going to cut it just in different shapes and sizes with my scissors, as you can see here. No rhyme or reason. And then I just wanted to not make them quite so long and angular, so I started kind of slitting in the middle of the paper like this and then cutting them out so I get different forms and shapes. So I wanted to show you all the different colors and shades that they do have in this pack. As you can see there, you can really make a rainbow out of this mosaic technique as well with using this paper pad, which I think that is definitely on my horizon. So now I'm going to ink up all the edges of all these little pieces that I have already pre-cut. And actually, I've already inked them up, as you can see, and I'm just showing you how I did it. And I've got nice inky fingers, so if you do want to protect your fingers doing this process because the pieces are so small that it's inevitable with even this little dauber that you're going to hit your fingers. But yeah, that's part of the job, I guess, having inky fingers all the time. So I put my daubers aside, and for the darker orange, I used that carved pumpkin. And now for the lighter orange, I use spice marmalade. And then I'm just going to slide those out of the way, and I'm going to go through what I used for each color. For the pinks, I used Kitsch Flamingo and Spun Sugar. For the purples, I used Shaded Lilac and Dusty Concord. For the blues, I used Chipped Sapphire and Tumbled Glass. For the yellow, I used Squeezed Lemonade and Mustard Seed. And then for the greens, I used Twisted Citron and Mowed Lawn. Those are all Distress Oxide inks. And in order to start my mosaic background, this time I was going to do the grass and everything. So I'm starting with my green shades, and I decided to go with the darker one first. And I'm just going to simply fit these together. No rhyme or reason, but because they're kind of geometrical, they do fit together. And then you're going to see that in order to cover some of the little white areas, I do go on top of them, and I just take my tape runner, which is like a mono dado adhesive, and I just run that on top of it again. And I'm just going to speed this up so you can see how I built my background. And it's a really fun process to put it all together and then see how it works out in the end. And now again, I'm trying to get like a sunset or sunrise, so I'm going to mix in all of those pretty colors. And I am going to overlap them. Like I started with the pinks, and then I'm adding the peaches and the purples, but I'm going to put them all in that same space. Like all the colors are just combining together to come up with that really pretty sunrise. And right there you can see that I just added a little bit more glue on top in order to get some of those white spots to be covered up. And I just keep doing that process and making sure that I cover all the bottom part of my card panel with the adhesive. And then I'm just going to finish up with my blues at the top. And in the spots that I needed to go back and touch up, I just put a little bit of the mono aqua liquid glue. And then I'm going to brush all of that glue on the whole entire area of the card. And that's just going to hold it all together. And I am quite generous with this glue, and perhaps I didn't have to put on as much, but I just want to make sure that I have a nice sealed background. And I'm just going to use a foam brush and just brush in all of that glue. If I had a little white spot, I just added on another little piece of paper. And then if I had any of the corners sticking up, I just brushed that right down and made it flat. If I had to, I could put a little bit of glue underneath. And then I let that sit overnight and dry. And now I'm pulling out all those extra pieces that I had, so I didn't have to die cut the sun or the grass because I had them left over. And I actually had already stamped and cut out all of the little images as well. I had done 2 when I did my last card. So I really did have everything ready to go. And I touched up the edges of the sun and the grass with a little bit of the oxide ink as well. And now I'm just going to show you the colors that I use to color. That's for the bunny ears is the R00. And for the basket, I used my favorite E's, the 21, 23, 24, and 27, or sorry, 25 and 27. And then I used my cool grays for the bunny. And then all of these colors for the eggs, but I did keep these specific colors and just repeated them for all of the eggs that I did. Now to even my card panel, I first trimmed this one side that only had a couple little pieces of paper hanging off the edge, and that gave me a nice straight edge to use in my trimmer. And then I just went around each other of the 3 sides and trimmed those. That gave me a card panel that was 5 1/4 inches by 4 inches. And now I am going to stamp my sentiments, and I thought that the little happy in the sun would be super cute, and I'm using Lawn Fawn jet black ink. And anyone that follows along with my videos knows that stamping without my Misty brings me great anxiety. So this was, a scary moment, but I did it with one try. Yay! And so now to start assembling my card with all the pieces that were ready to go. I'm going to layer on the grass. I'm going to do that lighter section first, and I'm going to just trim down that side a little bit because the other area of grass, the darker shade, is going to be showing or going to be in the forefront, and I didn't want those little pieces to be popping up behind that. And it's okay that it's overlapping because I'm going to just trim that off and make it even with the card. And now I wanted some of the grass in the basket, and then I found a perfect area at the end of this piece, and that just, sometimes things just come together like better than you could even plant, and it had the perfect little curve that fit in to this basket. And these grass pieces were cut with Lawn Fawn's Grassy Meadow. And now to assemble my little eggs in there, I'm going to put a little bit of the glue in the front, and then I'll make sure that it has enough in the back so it all sticks together. And I just wanted to look at like it was overflowing. The basket is overflowing with these giant eggs. And when my basket is assembled, I'm just going to slip it underneath the grass, which I only glued on the bottom. And then I'm going to slip the bunny under there and just see where I want it to be placed. And put some glue on the back of the sun. And I wanted that to hang over the edge, and I will trim that as well. But just make sure that there's plenty of room for the happy, and that's why I did stamp the happy down a little bit, because I knew that I was going to hang that over the corner and I didn't need to have it centered. And now it was time for another, little panic attack, and I was going to stamp my other sentiment, which is Hoppy. So happy Hoppy, and in the inside it's going to say Easter wishes. So I just inked that up and, hoped for the best, as I always do when I'm directly stamping. And yeah, not so bad. It maybe, could have been a little darker, but I'm happy with that. And now I'm just going to be super careful of where I put my fingers so I don't smudge it. And I'm going to trim off all those pieces hanging over the edge. And now we're back to a cleaned up panel, and I'm going to glue down the basket and the bunny. Just a little bit of that glue in the front again so it can fit underneath the grass and keep that together. And I'm going to put some glue on the back of the bunny and slide him as well underneath the grass. And that just anchors those two pieces and doesn't make them look like they're floating, so that gives them that little bit of grounding. And I'm going to use my stamp block for just a little bit of pressure as they're drying, and I'm going to work on assembling my sky pieces. I wanted to get this cute little bee, and then I wanted to get some of these clouds that I had previously cut for my other card as well. And I will link that other card to the end of this video so you can go back if you had missed that and see my first round of Easter wishes with my mosaic background. And as you can see, my bee kind of slipped under there as I was moving things around, and I just had to wipe it. So the good thing about this mono liquid, the aqua adhesive, is it dries very crystal clear. So my bee was all set, and now I'm just gonna figure out where I'm gonna put those clouds, and I'm doing my thinking fingers again, which I don't even realize as I'm crafting that I do those thinking fingers of mine. And just putting a little bit of that glue around the edges. And I liked that placement right there in the center, just filling up that little bit of empty space. And make sure that bee, it's a little bit of a chunkier background with all the layers of paper, so you do have to be pretty generous with your gluing and then the pressure to keep it down. And now I'm gonna fold my card base, which is a pink piece of basil cardstock, and it's cut at 9 by 8 and then scored at the 4 1/4 mark to make the A2 size card. And I'm just gonna again be generous with my gluing, and that is because of the thickness. There's a lot of layers on that, a lot of pretty layers. And I'm just gonna lay that there, and I did have that stamping block on there for a little bit to make sure that all my corners and everything stuck down perfectly. When I do a colored card panel, I like to put a white piece in the center, and that makes it easier to write a note or put another sentiment or perhaps decorate the center a little bit. And it just gives it that cleaned up, nice look. So I'm going to just put up a panel the same as the front panel, which is 4 by 5 1/4. And now I still had some extra grass pieces left, so I'm going to just stick that down in the center, and this is what we used for the inside of the basket, so that was left over. And now I am free stamping again, Easter wishes in the middle, just going to center that by eye, and not bad again, so 3 for 3 today. Exciting. And I'm just going to trim that little section off and make it even with my card panel. And then I had an extra egg, and I'm going to stick that under there too for just a cute little surprise when they open up, when your recipient opens up the middle, and it just finishes off the card really nice. And it still gives you plenty of space to write a little note. And now for a little shimmer and shine, I'm going to add my Wink of Stella to the bee's wings and also on each of the Easter eggs. You can see that I sometimes take my Wink of Stella and kind of wipe it against my finger just to make sure that the ink doesn't go from egg to egg, which honestly I've never had that happen. It's just a little fear of mine because I don't want to contaminate each egg. So once I realized that it wasn't smearing and it wasn't going to contaminate, I just went ahead and applied that. And I did apply 2 coats to each of the eggs because I wanted lots of shimmer and shine. I love everything and anything shiny. And glittery, like it all. Gonna hit that one in the middle as well, and the inside of the card, make that nice and shiny. And now for the last added touch of the card, I'm gonna add a few of my dewdrops that I had in my stash, and these had a slight pink tint to them, so I thought that they would work perfect. And I'm gonna add that with that same glue, which as you can tell, it's very versatile and it dries clear. You can use it for many different purposes. And I'm picking out a piece of cat hair because my cats are always in my crafting space. And there you have it. another Mosaic card. Thank you so much for stopping in and crafting with me today. I really appreciate it. All of these products you can find at the Not Too Shabby shop. And she is starting a new subscription box that's going to be coming out monthly. And we have a hop that's going to introduce all of April's products coming up this week. So make sure you stay tuned to the Not Too Shabby channel and blog, and you will see all the fun and exciting things that are happening. But for now, take care and happy crafting, and I will see you all very soon.